Right, this is Chapter 2, Lesson 4 from California Math Through Common Core Edition by McGraw Education. My daughter's in 6th grade. She's working through this book. So I make these videos for her to watch and then do the problems, and I'm sharing them with other parents and kids who are also working through this same book. This lesson is on percents that are bigger than 100% and less than 100%. So what you've been doing in lessons 1, 2, and 3 is going between these different types of ways to represent numbers. So perhaps from a decimal to a percent, or maybe a percent to a fraction. And in this lesson, they're really going to focus on special types of percents. I put just a couple of simple examples up here just to remind us of what these conversions might look like. Here, to go from a decimal to a percent, I move the decimal point over 2 places. To go from a percent to a decimal, I'll move my decimal point over 2 spaces again, but now it goes to the left. So the direction of which way the decimal moves is important. That's why I like to have this example, because I know that 1 corresponds to 100%, so I might want to use it as a reference. Which way does the decimal move again? And I can see from this example that from a decimal to a percent, I'll move the decimal point to the right. And just one more. Here I have a fraction, 17/100ths, which I've now written as 17/100ths, tenths position, hundredths position, so 17/100ths. And then 0.17 corresponds to 17%. So just a couple of examples to keep in mind. So the one we'll start with is convert each percent to a fraction. And we'll always write our fraction in reduced form. And remember, reducing fractions to its simplest form, that's something from Chapter 1. And really, in my opinion, that's one of the most difficult parts about this, because you kind of get to the end where you have a fraction, and you have to take the time to reduce it. And sometimes that does take time. All right, so let's go ahead and start off. 125% as a fraction would just be 125 over 100. So I'm done with the conversion, percent to fraction, but now I need to reduce the fraction. The number 25 divides evenly into my numerator and denominator. 25 goes into 125 5 times. 25 goes into 100 4 times. And again, it's all right if it took you a little bit longer to do those computations, that's okay. The next one, letter B, I'm still going from a percent to a fraction, so I might try the same thing as what I did in A, where I just take my number here that I'm seeing next to my percent sign and put it over 100. Now this method will lead you to the right answer, but right now we have a decimal within a fraction, and maybe you aren't comfortable with that quite yet. There are ways to deal with it. So I'm going to instead just do something slightly different than what I did in part A. For me, it's always nice to go from a percent to a decimal, and that doesn't take too much time, and then go from the decimal to a fraction in cases like this. We don't need to make life harder and do what we're doing in B for A. A, we just made the jump. We went from percent to fraction in one step. But here I'm going to kind of use decimals as a go-between. 0.25% as a decimal would be 1, 2, so 0.012. Sometimes it's nice to draw the little arrows. 1, 2. So I'll have the 2 zeros in front of my 25. And then now I can easily go from a decimal to a fraction because I just read the number. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths. So this is 25 10,000ths. Right, so there's my conversion of a percent to a fraction. So I'm done, except for I haven't reduced the fraction. And again, that can sometimes take time. There is certainly reducing that you could do here. 25 does divide evenly into a 1,000. So you could divide both of these numbers by 25. For the purposes of this video, I'll leave that arithmetic to you. But where I'm getting the 400 from is just dividing 25 into 10,000. Right, that way I'm kind of completing this picture. Divide numerator and denominator by 25. And it'll turn out to go in 400 times. At this stage, we should be pretty comfortable with, okay, if I needed to compute this, I would be able to. Like the last one, letter C, it's similar to A, so you might say, like, what's the point of letter C? I'm going to do the same thing. You should try it real quick. 247% as a fraction would be 247 over 100. The reason I'm including this example is, how do I know that this fraction is reduced, or is it reduced? Is this fraction in simplest form? And one way to check is identify any possible common factors between 247 and 100. So a way that I can do that is to just look at what are the prime factors of 100 and see if 247 also has some of those prime factors. Now I'm picking on the 100 because it's a smaller number. And to determine the prime factors of 100, I'll use factor trees. So to be real clear, we've solved more or less example 1 for C. We've converted 247% to a fraction. So what we're trying to do is determine whether or not this is reduced in simplest form. So 100, what are the prime factors of 100? I build my factor tree. 100 is 2 times 50. Maybe you broke it apart into 10 times 10. That would work also. 50 is 25 times 2. 25 is 5 times 5. So with this factor tree, I see the prime factors of 100 are 2, I have another 2 here, a 5, and a 5. If this fraction can be reduced further, then 247 must have one of these as a factor. But I look at 247, it's not even, so it doesn't have a 2 as a factor. And it doesn't end in 0 or 5, so it doesn't have 5 as a factor. That means this fraction is in simplest form. So that was just a quick review there of what can you do with a fraction where the numbers are fairly big, and you want to know if it's in simplest form or not. Okay, so the takeaway from that is sometimes it can be easy to do the conversion to a fraction, say from a decimal to a fraction or a percent to a fraction, but we do have to make sure our fractions are reduced, and we kind of should go in with the mindset that that might take a little bit of time. All right, so example 2. Write 180% as a mixed number. And so what I want to do here is rewrite 180% as a fraction with a whole number part. So I take my 180%, I rewrite it as a fraction, just like I did in example 1a and example 1c. I'll then reduce that fraction. For me, the factors of 10 jump out right away. So if I divide numerator by 10 and denominator by 10, I get 18 over 10. And it looks like I can reduce even further. Divide my numerator by 2 and my denominator by 2. Perhaps you saw that you could have divided both numerator and denominator here by 20 and jumped to this in one step, and that's great. So now what is 180% as a mixed number? I just go ahead and carry out the conversion from this fraction to a mixed number. 5 goes into 9 one time. When you divide 5 into 9, you'll have a remainder of 4. And we put that remainder over 5. Sometimes you might not be able to do that in your head, or maybe you weren't able to do this one in your head. That's okay. What you would do is just divide your 5 into 9. 5 goes into 9 one time, times 5 is 5, and there's your remainder of 4. So 9 divided by 5 is 1. My remainder is 4, and I put that remainder over 5. So there's 180% as a mixed number, 1 4/5. All right, so let's keep going. Let's do example 3. Now I'm going to go from a mixed number to a percent. Write 2 and 4 over 5 as a percent. And more or less what we're going to do is really reverse the steps we did here. So we'll take our 2 and 4/5, We'll rewrite it as a fraction without that whole number part, so we'll account for that. And then what we'll do is we'll take our fraction and rewrite it with a denominator of 100, which will allow for the easy conversion to a percent. So we're kind of going to do this computation, except we're going to be running it backwards. Okay, so first, 2 4/5. It might be a good idea to try and pause the video and see if you can accomplish this with your 2 4/5 number instead of your 1 4/5. So 2 4/5, first convert it to a fraction without that whole number part. 5 times 2 is 10, plus a 4 is 14. Now try and get that denominator of 100. So we'll write 14 over 5 as an equivalent fraction with 100 in the denominator. So I need to multiply my numerator and denominator by 20, because 5 goes into 100 20 times. So what's happening is we're really building on quite a bit of the tools that we've learned. So sometimes I do this maybe a little bit quickly, and if it goes too fast, just go back and review some of the ideas from chapter 1, writing and say one fraction is another. This is the equivalent fraction stuff. So 5 times 20 is 100, so I have to multiply 14 by 20, which is 280. Now I'm ready to go. I can convert this to a percent. This would be 280%. So if some of these steps you're still struggling on, that's all right. You just got to go back and practice. And sometimes that happens. You're working in chapter 2 and you need things from chapter 1. You just got to go back and practice those, some ideas there. So it's not something you should be in the mindset, oh, I'm done with chapter 1 and never have to go back. That's just not true for some of these computations you do, just in math in general.